Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we're going to be finishing my tier list. Now, I got a lot of feedback from the previous video, and it turns out, so I was messing with my tabletop simulator, recording some other games and apps, and it ended up altering the capture of the video, and that's why everything was cut off. I do apologize for that. Hopefully this video it's fixed. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to go back and redo it. Maybe in a couple months I might, but at this time, I'm just gonna. You guys have the actual list of cards here. That's probably the most important. Okay, so S tier. So this is the highest tier. These are like your ultimate game-winning cards. Usually, if you pick these cards up, you win on the spot. Very similar to A tier, just a little bit more flexible. Very accessible. Most spirits can pick up and use the card. Card is flexible, can fit into pretty much every spirit economy. It's great against all adversaries. And here's our S tier. We have Indomitable Claim. It's a 4 energy Sun Earth card. It adds a presence in target land, even if you normally could not due to land type, and then defend 20. If you have the 2/3 threshold, you get 3 fear, and this card acts as an action skip. This card is very strong, and what makes it strong is it's a proliferation effect that also defends the land. So it's going to do two things. It's going to further you along your tracks as well as stopping a problem. And that's why it's up here in S tier and not in A tier like Unrelenting Growth. Unrelenting Growth is a really great card. It's just, it doesn't impact the board. So a lot of times the players have to take some extra blight. When they play this card, in Dom, you never have to. So, and also this card is like great on every spirit. Like if there's a land that's going to be blight cascading, this card, the defend 20 is almost always enough. The next one is Bargains of Power and Protection. It's a 2 energy Sun, Water, Earth animal. It's another Bargains effect, just like Bargains of Coursing Path. The cost, well, they actually replaced all of this with the new cost terms, but the cost is 1 presence now and then -1 energy every turn. And then this one says, from now on, each Dahan within 1 range of your presence provides defend 1 in its land. And then if you have the 3/2/2 threshold, the presence comes from your track, so it becomes a proliferation effect. One thing to point out is it's within 1 range, so if you have any range boosting effects, like Reaching Grasp, or like Darkness range or something like that, this would increase the range of that defend. And it is defend 1 per Dahan. So if you play this multiple times, that means each Dahan is granting defend 2 in its land. What makes this card really stand out is its ability to impact multiple lands as it being a passive effect. So I've had this card act as like 5 or 6 actions just because it was defending so many lands in that Ravage phase. Now, unfortunately, the -1 energy a turn, just like Bargains of Coursing Path, can be pretty painful, though it's still manageable with some spirits. Oh yeah, another thing. These are all Sun cards, as you can see. So of like the top, what is this? Like top 19 cards, I think 2 of them are not Sun, and the rest are. So okay, so we have Power Storm. It's a 3 energy Sun, Fire, Air, fast power targeting a player. Target spirit gains 3 energy. Once this turn, target may repeat a power card by paying its cost. If you have the 2/2/3 threshold, you may repeat up to 2 more cards by paying their costs. So it's a repeat effect. So it's another copy of whatever else is on the board. And a lot of times this just reads repeat your best major on the field. Now there's some really overpowered things you can do with Power Storm. One of those things is like if you have a way to slip this card, like with Fractured Slips, you can do absurd things like Fractured. The slip is that left innate. You can have this card jump back into the player's hand and then have that player play it. And then you can repeat all lines of text on this card. Because usually if you repeat a repeat card, it doesn't actually work. But slipping is the case where kind of gets around that rule. But yeah, Power Storm, it's just a very solid card. It's actually, I would argue it's probably the weakest of these 4 cards. But it's also, it can be the most broken. Like this is a card that can completely win games given the right setup. And sometimes those games can only be won with a Power Storm find. Um, but like if you're looking at it just in a vacuum, I would pick some of the other cards here. Okay, looking at Vigor of the Breaking Dawn, 3 energy sun animal is a fast power, 2 range, targeting a land with Dahan. You get 2 damage per Dahan and target land. Really, all of the power is actually coming from this threshold of 3/2. And it says that you may push up to 2 Dahan. In lands you push Dahan, 2 damage per Dahan. Now, it's checking those lands. It's not checking just 2 damage because you push Dahan. So if you have a land, you have lands that look like this. I'll do that. So if you do Vigor of the Breaking Dawn here, you're going to do 4 damage. Then if you push Dahan into here and here, you then would do 2 damage per Dahan in both of those lands, which would give you 2 damage as well as 6. It's not 2 and 2 because you're checking all of the Dahan in the land. And that's really what makes this card really broken. If they actually fix this bottom part, this card would probably jump down into B tier. Like that's how weak the card gets. I would actually, yeah, I think it's not a very strong card with just the top part. It's the bottom part that really sets this card apart. And finally, we have Paralyzing Fright. And this is a 4 energy air earth card, Sacred Site 1 range, 4 fear, invaders skip all actions and target land this turn. If you have the 2/3 threshold, you generate 4 more fear. What makes this card really broken compared to the rest is it's 8 fear. And 8 fear is 2 fear cards in a solo game. And a lot of times your fear deck is going to be fairly small. So like in England, well, England's a bad example, but let's say like most games you're going to have about 12 fear cards. That means, assuming you're only playing this card, that means you only need to play it for what I think it's like 6 turns or something like that, because it's 2 fear cards every turn. But you're also going to have other fear, other cards that are producing fear, other innates that are producing fear. Yeah, this is, and also it skips a land, so it like solves a land completely, and it progresses you towards your win condition, and that's why it's up here in S tier. Looking at all of the cards, seeing if there's anything I want to change. I mean, like I mentioned in the previous video, Instruments of Their Own Ruin. This is a card that I think could jump into S tier given the right situations. The reason why I don't have it in S tier is just because that top part is pretty medium. Is there anything else that I want to change up here? Solidify could be, it's another one of those cards that might be able to, you might be able to argue that it's an S tier just because it is so flexible. It can do very broken things. It also has that ability to just, this is like one of those cards that can just save the game. Like I mentioned earlier, like Infinite Vitality is one of those cards where like you're digging through the deck for that one card that can prevent you from losing. And it's like Infinite Vitality, Solidify, Power Storm. These are all 3 cards that kind of come to mind. I think everything looks pretty good. Yeah. All right. If you guys like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys in the next video.